Hello, hello. Um, it's good to be here. It's good to be go live for the first time on YouTube. It's good to have YouTube with notifications on stage. I love to talk about there's so much to discuss. Yet, our community is small. Um, but then I believe my community has the capacity to understand what is actually happening. Um, Nigeria is such a Nigeria is such a country that has a lot of contradictions because of the reason and the methods and the history behind our coming together as a country. There's a lot of contradictions, and we have um, we have had a civil war already and all that. But then we've done quite a good job of recreating national cohesion. Um, but you can always imagine that a country like Nigeria with so much people and so much diverse ethnic groups that you're going to have to contend with rebellion, some sort of rebellion at any time. So whatever it is that is government policy, usually there is a pushback, and that pushback um, is looked at, not necessarily through and the lens of data, you know, facts, statistics, and things like that. It is mainly looked at through the lens of religion, ethnic identity, and things like that. So most times we'll be facing a significant problem, which naturally you should have leaders who are on it, but then because we have an identity problem, and our leaders have multiple layered allegiances, it is very difficult for those leaders to do the right things for their people. um a lot of people are saying different things. It's just so difficult to navigate and then get to the truth. Maybe the truth is somewhere in between, because the genetically modified organisms, whatever, whether it is your food or whether it is the animals that you take, like chicken, poultry, piggery, the cows we slaughter and eat and all that. um there are significant consequences. Now, we have already known for a fact that, for example, people who have lived in rural Africa for a long time, these people, these people, oh my God, they have lived the best part of life, and th- 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 and I have found that in my travels, that the more I get to rural places and to the places where people seem to live, on the land, and are actually, in sync with the rhythms of the earth, they seem to be happier, healthier. They seem to be, the difference is just so clear. It's kind of difficult to explain, but it is obvious. you will just see it right there. The difference is just so clear. Now, the government has been pushing this GMO thing for us, and then there has been pushback, but Nigeria is not a very educated country. I mean, because we are populated up to 250 million people. Okay, say 250 million people. If you have 20 million very well, like, I mean, like top tier educated people who have PhDs, who are professors in Harvard, in Oxford, in Yale, in places like that. It is always difficult for people who are not Nigerians to understand that Nigeria is so educationally backward, then that when the government brings policies that do not favor the people, that the people do not even know. And unfortunately, rural dwellers, especially, who are vulnerable for these things, they are just living their lives, and the government will come with some INGO or something like that, and then they will market these GMOs as an improvement on their native seeds. These native seeds that we use have been passed down over generations. We are literally talking about thousands and thousands of years. They adapted to the land and all that, and then somehow an American company or a Western company brings this and says it has 10 20 yields, 20 times more yields and things like that, and then before you know, they are planting it, and then when it's time to harvest, they harvest it. But then when the next season comes to plant it, when they plant it, it doesn't germinate. The soil doesn't respond. It seems like there is some form of degradation of the soil and things like that, and that is so much difficult, so much difficult, so much difficult to understand. Well, I mean, I will have to say that we are going into very difficult places, but things will get well. Things will get well. People need to understand that the reality of GMOs is somewhere in between healthy and then harmful. Um, Personally, I wouldn't want to engage with anything with GMOs, but the government is arguing that because our population is exploding, that we have no choice in order to feed more people, we would have to, you know, would have to, of course, get them get the GMOs. I want to tell a story. This story is very important for you to understand the context of Nigeria. Okay. Um. Okay. So right now, if you go to Google and type three top exporting countries of ginger, you'd see China, you'd see Nigeria. Oh, sorry, Nigeria is now out of the question. You see China, Nigeria, and another country. I think is it okay, China, Nigeria, and Brazil. Okay, so now what actually happened was that 5 years ago, a company came to Nigeria and partnered with another a subnational state apparatus to convince local farmers that there is a better ginger species that would give Nigerian farmers 10 times more yield of their ginger. They did it, they planted it, and right now Nigeria has no capacity to produce any ginger. We now import ginger at 15, 25 times the price of our own natural ginger. In fact, all our native ginger seedlings are probably gone. They do not respond to the soil anymore. It just feels as if we've been attacked biologically. I don't know whether this is some form of biological warfare, because right now we we have to import this ginger. This is something that we export. Another thing, okay, Malaysia is the world's largest producer of red oil. Red oil, they call it palm oil. It has a lot of industrial uses. Now, this red oil, actually, what happened was Malaysia came to Nigeria and took these seeds as samples, and then they took it over to their country and did it. So, guys, let me acknowledge the people who are online right now. I can see Vibe X, good to see you. Welcome to my first live on YouTube. This is experimental, so yeah, welcome. I don't know where you're from, Vibex. Welcome. I'm encouraging you guys to type, say where you're from, so that we could at least connect, understand each other, from the different parts of the world that we're coming from. This is a new age. I'm also saying a shout out to Terracotta Gaming. Terracotta Gaming, hey, hello, how are you? I hope you're doing well. And then Noise said hi, hello, Noise. How are you doing? Good to have you on the show. And then Noise said again, did you know that I'm gay? I don't know you are gay, Noise. I don't even know you, and it doesn't really matter if you're gay or not. That's not my concern. My concern right now is the vulnerable people of my continent, the vulnerable people of sub-Saharan Africa, and the war, the almost an underground war that is being fought to get our native grain, seedlings, crops, to get them extinct. That is really, really very scary, really. Now we've lost our native cotton. It doesn't grow any longer. We've lost our native ginger. It doesn't grow any longer. And our governments, oh my God, our governments are just slavish to billionaires who are investing in these technologies. We understand that now there are technologies that alter, DNAs, like for animals and plants. In the case of plants, CRISPR-9, they call it. It goes there and just scissors it, and there was a recent outcry in Nigeria about GMOs. So we had a very popular influencer. He's a medical doctor, and a lot of Nigerians actually took medical advice from that person. Yet, somehow one day we just saw him with GMOs. And do you know who we saw? Our most beloved influencer taking pictures with? You know, the guy with the eyeglasses, who, used to be one of the richest guy in the world. So, and this guy hardly spends a week, a month before he comes to Nigeria to sell one thing or the other. Peter Johnny, hello. How are you, Peter Johnny? Great to see you. Great to have you join the show, and may God bless you too, Peter Johnny. And I hope life treats you the best. Somehow, I believe that we are living in a very, very different time, and things are going to be very, very difficult in the next coming years. I think those who adjust thrive, and those who do not will be left behind. Uh, I do not believe for 1 minute that the United Nations and the talk of what do they call it, universal basic income, after AI, replaces a lot and automates a lot of the jobs that people usually have. I do not think that universal basic income will do anything. I think global economy is going to collapse, and when that does happen, um, I, there's going to be a lot of chaos, and people are going to become more primal. And when people become more primal, then it's unfortunate. It's just going to be anarchy. I don't want to sound so pessimistic. Uh, there are a lot of ways that we can take control back of the earth. There is no reason why we should be living hand to mouth, because of a concept of something that we call money. The art provides virtually everything that we need. Everything that we need, the art provides it. And since the art provides everything that we need, why do we have to be slavish and spend 40, 50, 60% of our lives slaving away in boring jobs that we do not find satisfaction, developing some chronic disease, and then dying, and then the cycle continues? It's unfortunate, but it is happening. And I don't want to call names. I don't want to call names of companies that have been, pinpointed, but we know a lot of them are Western, especially American. We know Monsanto. We know Bill Gates is seriously, seriously promoting GMOs, and the Nigerian populace is not even ready for that discussion yet, and the government is, just plowing on, just plowing on, just plowing on. Maybe at some point we are going to get to understand that the world order has changed. It's a multipolar world now. I think anybody who believes that the world is still unipolar is just delusional. Yeah, it's just delusional. Um, China is demonstrating that they are ready to lead. And of course, Westerners make this argument that China is bad for Africa, and that China will exploit Africa, and that China will, you know, outrightly um, export authoritarianism. Authoritarianism. Forgive my English; it's not my natural language, so I try as much as I can to just pass my message across. Say what you want about China. China has still been a better partner for Africa than the United States have been. What the United States has done, and the West, especially the collective West, Britain, France, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, you know, all these countries, they seem to still live in the mentality that we are still in the 1940s and 50s, where they still hold sway, and they can still, wag their finger and say, country A, you do this, country B, you do that. And well, even though the leaders that we have in sub-Saharan Africa are sheepish bastards, the reality, and there is a way that economics, actually bends the direction of military strategy. And I think that is where we are going. I think that is where the balance of power is going to happen. And then naturally, China is better than the United States and the West. And we're going to see how things are going to change in the next few years, really. And to end it all, what do you think? What do you think about GMOs? What do you think about the reality of GMOs? You know, the thing with people who believe in science, and I do believe in science, but I don't believe 100% that science is being allowed to operate the way it is supposed to operate. I believe there are some structures, some power structures that control agenda, and then that controls information, and then that controls what should be available to the human race and what should not be available to the human race. That is so um essentially what it is. And we have suffered enough, and the trajectory of the world doesn't give us any optimism. The post World War II order is gone, and we are here. So we are people of this earth. Nobody owns it more than us. We were of this earth, and we will go back to this earth, and we deserve to be on this earth, and we will survive, we will thrive by the grace of God. We will thrive, inshallah, and we will exceed expectations. Yeah. So I I initially asked if anybody has any say opinion about GMOs. What do you really think about GMOs? What do you really think about GMOs? If you're online, I can see one person online. If you have any opinion about GMOs, do you think the world is telling us the truth? The scientific community is telling us the truth about it, or do you think there are some hidden, you know, um, you know, truths that we are not privy to, and it's a means of some form of control, when at the end of the day we do not have access to our own native seedlings. um I think there was a proposal recently at the European Union, and I think the Polish rejected outrightly the proposal to you know give away their own native native wheat seedlings, grains, food, for an industrial company to take over and then provide these things. And they said, no, 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 we're not going to do it. Well, it is what it is. As for me, as far as I can, I will try to avoid GMOs, and I will try to live as much as possible. Hello, better Edit. How are you? Great to see you. Tell me about yourself. We're talking about genetically modified organisms, especially as it concerns food. And how underreported it is in Nigeria, the crisis that people are having now. Because it is underreported, the logical conclusion would be to say that the government has a hand in it. We have seen companies like Monsanto, we have seen Bill Gates come in and out of Nigeria several times, advertising genetically modified organisms. And we've had a crisis recently with ginger. Nigeria used to be the second largest world producer of ginger, and then we followed an advice from an American consultancy that invested some money and brought some ginger seeds and said that these ginger seeds will have 15 times more yield than our own native ginger seeds, and somehow managed to convince our uneducated rural farmers. And at the end of the day, all the ginger failed. They developed some form of fungal disease. And then right now, you cannot plant ginger in Nigeria. The Nigerian ginger is almost gone. How Yes, it is so expensive, Edit. It is so expensive. That is why I'm telling you the reason why it is expensive, because we no longer can produce it. We can only produce 2%. 2%. The estimation is that what remains of our own ginger is 2%. So something happened with the imported seedlings that were given to our farmers, and then promised that they will get 10 times more yield. Whoever did that is waging a biological warfare against our people. And then another thing happened in Sokoto too with onions. Someone brought some onions and actually convinced the farmers to plant those onions. And after some while, when the onions were meant for maturity, they all failed, and people lost a lot of money. So now we import ginger and from China and from Brazil. Remember, we used to be second and Brazil third. Now we are importers. We have lost 98% capacity of our ability to produce our own ginger. So that is for ginger only. Now there's a lot of push to get into tomatoes, to get into corn, to get into wheat, the mainstay of our own foods. Now, if they get to do that, that will mean that essentially at the end of the day, we are going to have to um, buy seedlings every year from companies that are located outside Nigeria. So, God forbid that there is some form of crisis or or a supply chain disruption. What do you think will happen to us? Especially that we are Africans, and the reality of life of an African is that we are last at the pecking order, especially if you're sub-Saharan African. That is the reality. That is what obtains now. We don't know what will change in the future, but if it does, it does. But even though the world take us as the least important, they do not know that we are the best and the most adaptable and the most actually freer minded, peaceful minded, and then happily minded people living on the face of the earth. And we nurture the earth as much as the earth nurtures us. So yeah, it is what it is. So we have to understand what is going on behind the scenes, and then we also have to start putting out awareness to our local farmers to, as much as possible, preserve our grains, preserve, yes, don't fall for easy gains, yeah, easy, money, because that is just like it's a trap. It's a trap because the moment you fall into that, then you are gone. If you cannot produce your own food at the time of crisis, just remember during COVID-19, for example, when the vaccines were being distributed, who were given first? Do you remember? we were totally ignored. We were totally ignored. In fact, China brought PPEs in one of their aeroplanes to Nigeria. It landed, I think, was it in Kano, or is it in Lagos, something like that. And then later we discovered that all those PPEs and the vaccines that the Chinese brought were actually fake. They were just doing it for so that they will look good and things like that. It is what it is. But we all need to know what is happening, and we all need to be awake. I believe this is going to be a turbulent next 10 years. The American hegemony is crumbling. The Chinese dragon is rising, and knowing the Teutonic Anglo-Saxons and those who have those five eyes and their history, they love warfare, they love violence, and they never go out without a fight. So I don't think the next decade will be stable. If it somehow miraculously becomes stable, we will thank God for that, and for the next generation. But then it is what it is. I'm going to keep this video short, and then and to make sure that I say that I've talked to the people that have joined, and thank them, so that when next time that I come online for another one, we could have more people who could, join. So better edit. I cannot thank you. I cannot thank you more. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And Vibe X, I appreciate you being here too. And Terracotta Gaming, you too, my brother. Thank you very much. Noise, well, Noise, you too. I appreciate it. Thank you for chipping in. And everybody else, I wish you the best that life has to offer. And me Nigeria, me Borno, me Africa, may the world succeed in peace, harmony, humanity, and the best virtues and values that makes humanity human. I love you all. Can't wait to see you in my next life. So all the best. And from me here in rural Borno State, Nigeria, to you wherever you are around the world, I say thank you and good morning. Good morning. It is morning here. Good morning. All right. I'm gonna have to end it here.